Hey everybody, it's your Friday edition of Box Seats. I'm your host, Frank Holder. I'm sitting up here with two comedians who've been in the game for a very long time. That's Talent and Fig. They go so far back, they've been back to comedy since it was Def Comedy Jam, since it was festivals, since it was commercials, since it was TV shows, since I don't know. Y'all been in the comedy game a very long time. It's almost like comedy iconish.
Hey, bro, I wrote for Richard Pryor.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's been a long time. Like, y'all been in the game. Was you on the Richard Pryor show? You know what? I think I saw you.
I was on Partners in Crime with Robert Townsend. Paul Mooney wrote for Richard. I wrote for Paul Mooney.
Okay, well, there you go. See, they've been in comedy for a very long time. There you go. Now they're in comedy, with this little twist that we call sports. And, guys, what do I do every day? Every day I start the show off with what? It's called the COVID report, don't I?
The COVID
report.
The COVID
so I will do
report.
My Walter Cronkite COVID report today is Cleveland Browns have closed the facility because a player tested positive last night. So that's the COVID report. Now, as we all know, there's a COVID report every day. I would ask you, Talent, if you're surprised. I don't think you're surprised about hearing anything like that. I think the surprise would be when we get a star QB who can't play for the week because of COVID. I think then it'll be a surprise. What do you think?
Right. Right now, there's no surprise. Again, we say the same thing. We knew it was going to happen. We called it before anybody called it. And they decided, hey, we're going to play. We think we could. I don't know. Maybe they thought they had some fast running backs and thought they could outrun the COVID.
Oh, there you go. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe they thought they could have that, but I think they got their a couple of their QBs sacked by COVID. So, anybody going to escape the COVID sack? What you think?
No, because there ain't no front line to protect none of those players from the COVID. That sack, that's like having some of the greatest defensive players in NFL history coming at you, man. You talking about like Lawrence Taylor and the boys coming at you, man. Some of the greatest defenders of all time. No, nobody can defend against the COVID. The best thing you do is wear your mask, stay home, and stay safe.
Ain't that the truth? We're going to come back to the NFL just a second. I want to take one pause for the cars and say, I want to say congratulations to the first woman GM was hired by the Marlins, and her name is Kim Ng, and she's the first female. She made she made history. You know what I mean? Talent. Should we, and could we expect to see more women in baseball and basically all the major sports? Because we know we have women referees now, and in the NFL and NBA. Major League Baseball hasn't made that many adjustments, but it looks like now that they, hiring a woman GM. That they clear cut stepped above everybody, and I don't think anybody saw that coming.
Well, here's the thing, Frank. The same way we had this renaissance of women in sports on the announcer side of things is the same way this is going to happen from all levels, coach and GM. It's about half the battle is equality for women. That's one, but the other half is finding women that are either knowledgeable and interested in the sport to that level. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just give jobs out and people don't want them. Like, women have to want to be inclusive in all the sport. Whatever sport it is that we get GM, whether it's baseball, football, hockey, basketball, they got to be internet sport. Like, you know what I mean? When you look at people like Becky Hammond in the NBA, she eats, sleep, and drink basketball.
Yeah.
So, and she has a high basketball IQ. So it makes all the sense in the world for her to move up the ladder. She was a player, and she was assistant coach. Then she's a coach. Then she might be the GM. And it makes all the sense in the world because she knows it, she loves it, she appreciates it. But you can't just expect to be hiring women left and right that don't care about it. They wouldn't do it to us.
Yeah, that's true. But I would even say this, Fig. Some women, when they move into position, they're so good you can't not take them. For example, Doris Burke to me is the best color commentator in the NBA right now, hands down. I don't think anybody can say anything different to that. And they were squawking about giving her that position, being a color commentator at the time before the hire. But now she's so knowledgeable about the sport. Every NBA player respects her, and they come to her when the game is over and everything else. Like, they want to do interviews. Now, I say all that to say, if they're good enough, why not? You know what I mean? I don't look at it like, I don't know.
Yo,
What you
man,
think?
I'm all in. And first off, just quiet as kept. I love Doris Burke, man. Like, she does the damn thing. You understand what I'm saying? Doris Burke is a color commentator, man. Is just, she's absolutely amazing, man. She's knowledgeable. She gives you insight. She knows the game inside and out. She knows the teams, the players, their strengths, their weaknesses. Doris Burke is like, she's all world. She knows what she's doing. Becky Hammond, great female coach, knows the game. My thing is, I'm a little concerned about baseball. You know what I'm saying? Baseball's a little rough around the edges. They let the players go in on referees and umpires and managers and stuff. The managers come outside and get up in the umpire's face and be like, so they be spitting and kicking dirt on the base and stuff. I mean, they go in kind of crazy, man. I don't know if they gonna allow men to berate women like that in the sport of baseball. I think that might be a little bit too much. I like football. I see some female referees in football, some commentators in football. I see them in basketball. I'm not so sure about baseball, man. They're a little rough.
Hey, Tyler, does it mean that men should be, especially black men in particular who are coaches and everything else, should they be concerned now? Because if they start letting more women in, because now obviously it makes their job a whole lot easier to get them positions for what they're trying to do in any sport. You know what I mean? In any sport, should they be a concern? Now, and I'm only asking that legitimately because it's an all male sport, but it's all. Let's be honest, all the sports are all predominantly white male sports when it comes to management, coaching, ownership and everything else like that. When you start letting women in, it does, let's be honest, let's look at the facts. It does lower the chances of black men getting in that, because I think in some instances a woman could be considered higher in a certain position, more than a black man. I mean, I
don't think so. I think all you're doing is ramping up numbers. It's like if I go for a job and they have they're just letting 30 to 50-year-olds apply for this position. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden they say, you know what? This year we're gonna move the age thing and everybody can apply. The numbers just go up. Now my competition pool got bigger. Mm-hmm. I got to stay on top of my game. Mm-hmm. I got to go hard and be the best me I could be to secure the position. You can't blame it on the woman. If you get a woman that coming in and can knock it out the box and she dotting I's across the T's a little better than you, we can't blame it on because it's a female. We got to blame it on they opened the pool up. She came in there better than you, more prepared. Women be prepared. Yeah. Women be prepared.
Yes, sir.
So here's the thing, fellas. All you fellas out there that's worried about your job, be prepared, because women be prepared. So let's say now they make an announcement, we're going to hire more women. All the guys that was worried before, now you go and do a different level of preparation because you say, damn, Becky is coming in interviewing for the same job. She's going to be prepared. So guess what? Have your ass prepared.
Fig, I'll up that ante and say, if a woman's even being considered for that position, chances are she's 10 times better than the dude who's her counterpart going for the position. Because not too many women who are going to be sitting there going to be on an equal level. A lot of them. As a matter of fact, I can't think of anything that I've ever seen in any sport whereas a woman came in, walked in equally. I think most of them were always better prepared and better suited for the job. They just didn't get the job because they are a woman. Flat out.
Yeah, man. Hey, listen. Here's the thing. If they're going to level the playing field and make it equal for everybody, then there's no worries. But if they're trying to do like this affirmative action type hiring thing, I think black coaches or black men are in trouble, because just say you get a black woman and she's qualified. Well, she checks 2 boxes. That's the one thing that's the one box that a man can't check. You can't check, oh, she's a female and she's a black woman, or what they call minority. So you get a female hire and a minority hire. You get $2, for the price of one, basically 2 bangs for the price of one. And right. Like Talon said, women are super prepared. I remember that joke? When she caught the dude cheating and she'd be like, who been in my house? And he's like, why you say that? Ain't nobody been in the house. He said, well, I don't even walk on that side of the floor.
Well, I think
So,
women
are prepared.
Yeah, man.
All right, let's move the conversation along. I just got to also mention that the Masters was rained out, but they are continuing on. They're moving this thing on today. And college football playoffs looks like they're having discussions to delay the college football season because there've been so many cancellations, which would be a whole ton of money lost. And I think, obviously, because of COVID, I think if they do delay it, they're going to make sure they get those games. But get those games in. But get those games in. Some of those guys need the college football playoffs so they can get to the pros. If you're playing the games and you're going to get that because of COVID and everything, you're still playing the game, then push it back. If it has to go back into the spring, then let it go back to the spring. That's what I say. What you think, Talent?
But here's what's going to happen. They're going to have to do that. The reason you're hearing this banter change now is because of the election.
Mm-hmm.
One thing Biden ran on, and he was very clear, kept saying it redundantly, like he's going to go back into a shutdown at least 3 months. If we go into a shutdown, which you can't do nothing, we know we can't do nothing until January, until he's sworn in office. So we got until January, but they're going to, this is like a test time. So that's why college football is talking about, we might push it back. Because right now we're in the test days that if they're trying a lot of measures, like in New York State, everything, the bars and restaurants, 10 o'clock, closed. So they're trying all these things to see if they can get a curb on the numbers of COVID cases. Most likely, if they can't, January 20th, he's sworn in. From that point on, we go back into a shutdown. That means everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes the decision making out of the powers that be for college football, because if the powers at the top say we're shutting it down, everything's shutting down.
Yep, that's true. That's true. Fig, what you think?
Man, he hit the nail on the head. I didn't even think about bringing the election into it, man. That's crazy because look, clearly the numbers is going up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's a major thing. The numbers are skyrocketing everywhere. And one thing that the United States, America, hasn't done that other countries have is other countries shut down their entire country completely.
Yeah.
Like shut it down. They made the mandate was everything is closed, everybody stay home. And they did it for a period of time. And other countries were able to get a handle on the virus a lot quicker than the United States because we just cut things back in stages because we're a capitalist country and money rules. You know what I mean? So they kept things open so they could keep making money. And the thing is, when you try and keep making money, people get sick, people die, they lose their lives, and this virus is out of control.
It ain't going nowhere no time soon. All right, let's talk about the NFL game, man, that happened last night. The Colts played the Titans, and after watching the game last night, I got an L because I'm almost sure I picked the Titans because.
Yes, sir. Everybody picked the Titans except for Rodney.
Are the Colts better than we thought, Talent? Because after watching that game last night, I tend to think that the Colts are better than what we thought. And they could make a run if they continue to play the way they played. What you think?
I don't think they're that great of a team. I don't think they're better than we thought. However, what I do think is we probably forgot a little bit and overlooked Phillip Rivers is Phillip Rivers. Is one of my favorite quarterbacks. Right. Mm-hmm. And he plays the game as good as anybody out in that position. I think that the reason I don't think they're that good, they did something last night in the third quarter, halfway in the third quarter. The dumbest thing I've seen in a minute. The game is 17-13. They get down first and goal.
Mm-hmm.
They try to run the ball in first and goal, second and goal, third and goal. They get the fourth and goal. Now you just kick it's only the third quarter. You get the 3, it's a 1-point game. They got very lucky in that fourth quarter, man, because you kick it, you get the 1-point game, still a game, anybody's game. They went for it, Frank. They got stuffed.
Mm-hmm.
They look stupid as hell. I'm waiting for the camera to hit the coach. I think this coach, when he play those games where it's going to mean a lot in those important games, they're going to fold. They're not going to beat those teams that they in those important games because I think their coaching might be a little suspect, bro. Mm-hmm. So I don't think they're better than we think they are. I think they got lucky and momentum jumped on their side so fast like with the funk. Who has a kicker that can't kick? This guy botched 3 in a row.
Sure did. I was watched it in amazement.
Yeah. So here's my thing. When we see a team that wins because of the other team's missteps or errors, we can't really say that team is way better than I thought. Now, when we see a team that demolish a team and it ain't because of your errors, it's just because me kicking your ass, that's when you say that.
Yeah.
Vic, what you think?
They are who we thought they were. No, man, listen. I'm not sure whether the Colts won or the Titans lost.
Right.
Like Talon said, here's the thing that a lot of people don't give any credit to. We talk about offense and defense, but nobody really ever talks about special teams. Last night, that game was lost by the special team part of the Titans, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He shanked one. He got one block. I mean, like that's special teams. You that's all you do. Like, dude, you don't do nothing else. You on the sideline for most of the game. All you do one thing. You come in and punt, and 9 times out of 10, you never even had to tackle nobody. You know, these are the guys who their uniform never even gets dirty.
Mm-hmm.
They got the cleanest uniforms in the NFL because they never do no. You just kick the ball and go back and stand on the sideline. You messed that up. How you messed up the one thing? It's the one thing you do, and you messed it up.
You don't even have to take a shower after the game.
I'm saying you can put on your suit and tie. Listen, you can literally wear a suit and tie under your uniform.
Yeah,
you know what's funny about that position? I learned a lot of those guys don't even come from football background.
Right.
These guys are like soccer and
yes, sir.
Right. All right. Well, now let's flip it since we're still talking about the game last night. Let me flip it and ask you this, Talent. After you watched the Titans game and after you watched the Titans, you know, probably more so with a interesting eye in the last, 2 years, because last year they ran it up and they beat Baltimore in the playoffs and everything else, and everybody's expecting them to be big. Is Ryan Tannehill really that dude? Is he really that dude that can get you to a Super Bowl? Or should the Titans start to say, you know what, Ryan Tannehill can get us here, but we might start having to look and get another QB who can bring us to Super Bowl, because Tannehill's not the Super Bowl QB. You know, what's your thought?
You know, I can't put my finger on this guy. Like, every time I think like I want to say yes to that question, he does something to make me go like, he's not that guy. Like last night he said, "Ouch." When is the last time you seen the camera hit a football player? This ain't basketball, tennis. Get on a football play. He took a hit. He tried to get the pass off, took a nice hit, and he went back on his back, and the camera zoomed in, and he went, "Ouch." I said, yo. I said, what are we watching? Like, this is supposed to be, barring, with the exception of boxing and like MMA stuff, they're supposed to be, this is the toughest guys we got in sports, supposedly. Mm-hmm. So, Frank, I wish I had a definitive answer for that, because sometimes I do feel like yo, Tannehill, man, because he didn't stink up. He's been on 3 or 4 teams. He didn't stink them up. He did good, but he never got, like you said, over that hump. So every time I want to give him credit, because most of that game I was like, yo, he balling, and then he said, "Ouch." So I can't give you an answer.
Yeah. All right, Faye, what you think?
Tannehill, man, I don't, I'm not sure about that name. What kind of name is Tannehill? you walked up the hill and laid out so you could get a tan. I don't know what that is. I was like, what is that? I don't know if he's that bad. And you know what? To be 100% fair, I can't blame that on the quarterback last night. I blame that loss on the special teams, because they was right there. They were winning the game. Mm-hmm. Special teams, in the football game, football is one of the games that once you get momentum, you can't turn it around. Mm-hmm. Once you lose that momentum, you can't turn it around. And if your special teams is doing crazy stuff, giving the other team a short field,
right,
you lose your momentum. And then another thing, if your defense is out there too long, they're gonna get tired, man. I mean, you only can play defense for so long before you get tired. Like, they come down, they score, and you do a 3 and out, and then on top of the 3 and out, you get the other team a short field.
Mm-hmm.
That's a formula for losing all day, every day. And I can't blame all of that on Tannehill. You just can't.
I would even throw something else in there and say to see if you guys disagree. Some of that too was on the coach. Some of that on the coach, because some of those decisions, especially going on the 4th and goal, some of those decisions, man, y'all are trying to give the game away. But I don't know. But I heard something. I heard another question this morning on Sports Talk Radio. I want to throw this out there before we jump into the NBA. Justin Herbert versus Tua. They're supposed to be the two young guns now of the AFC. Here's the question I want to ask you, Talent. Are they going to be the new AFC rivalry going forward like Brady was in Manning? Do you see it? Do you see Justin Herbert and Tua being those two guys taking over those crowns? Or are we forgetting somebody else? Could it be anybody else? Do you see the rivalry even being that big?
I think they are going to create a rival because of the timing of it, but we still got these other guards that we're changing guards. I told you, this season and next season are totally the change of guards. That's when we're going to be moving on to the Mahomes and the Jacksons and all those guys. But then these guys are the guys behind those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So these guys will eventually build that rivalry, I believe, because like I said, that's how history has shown us. When you get guys that come in the same class, that's the word I'm looking for. When they come into the league in the same class, they're always going to be kind of their whole career compared. You know what I mean? It's always been like that. Like when you look at any sport, you look at that year that those players came in and who was supposed to be dope or who performed, who overperformed, and then it starts. So yeah, those two will have a rivalry going forward, but I also think that when we change the guards after this season, you got those guys, the Russells and all those guys that are still in the middle. You got the Rodgers and Brady that are at the tip. Then you got this whole chunk of middle quarterbacks. And then you got 2 or 3 of these guys down here that came in this class that are starting.
I will add, before I throw it to Fig, I will add the Brady and Manning question and everything else kind of wasn't fair because Brady came in a couple of years after Manning, right? So I think a fair comparison would have been to ask if it would have been maybe Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert, or Patrick Mahomes and Tua Tagovailoa, whatever how you pronounce his name.
Tagovailoa.
Yeah, because I think, Brady came in the year or two after, Manning, and of course, you didn't know how good Brady was until after you saw how good Manning was, and then the Patriots had to go on that run. So I didn't even think it was a fair question, but they're asking it, and they're asking it all over Sports Talk Radio. So I'm gonna ask you, Fig, what you think?
I think what I like what I've seen from Tua, 2 games, but I think that I honestly, I know we live in a society where everything is instant, is fast, is overnight and stuff like that, but I need to see a little more. 2 games. It's not enough for me to judge this dude. I mean, he's won the 2 games that he played. Miami looks exceptional in the 2 games that he was able to play and win. He looks like he got a gun. He's sharp. To tell you the truth, I think the jury is out on a quarterback until you see him in year 2. Why? Because the first year, the defense doesn't get an opportunity to scheme for the quarterback if he's talented. Then once you see him and you can scheme and you can plan for what it is he does best and try and take it away, then you get to see if the quarterback can rise to the next level. So that's when true. They're rookies, I don't know. Most of the good guys look good when they're rookies. And then the next year, that's when you get to tell. Year 2 and 3 is when you really get a gauge on whether a guy is really great or not, or is going to be great or not.
All right. That I can't even knock that, because everything you said is absolutely correct. But some people in sports world, they say these certain type of things just to cause conversation. So I think that's one of those things that they were doing to have a conversation. Because you're right, Tua only played 2 games. You know what I mean? He could be an absolute bust, from this point forward, or he could be a beast. He's gonna be a beast or a bust. I don't think it's gonna be in between. But let's talk about the NBA now. This morning I was watching. I forgot what it was. I think it was First Take or something like that. And somebody said that, I didn't see this anywhere though. Let me just throw that out there. That James Harden is having conversations, people having conversations with Houston for James Harden to be traded to the Brooklyn Nets. I don't see that happening in any way, shape, or form because I don't see how James Harden would actually even fit on the Brooklyn Nets at all. There's only one basketball. But they said it on Sports Center and they said it on First Take. They said it on Get Up. Said it a couple times. So maybe it has life to it. I didn't see it anywhere. So, Town, I'm going to ask you, what's your thoughts when you hear James Harden to the Brooklyn Nets?
That just don't sound believable. Kevin Durant spent half his career getting away from this Negro.
But that's why they would say it would make a good thing because they played together. You know what I mean? But
yeah, but I don't think that complements what they put together in Brooklyn. And when you think of this style play, and you think of a Kyrie Irving and a Kevin Durant, like you said, I don't think it's enough basketball. Like you can only dribble the ball 500 times a game. Somehow, James Harden has figured out how to get 662 dribbles. So if you throw him on a team with Kyrie, who needs 500 dribbles, Kevin Durant needs about 450. The Barclays ain't built for all that. First of all, they don't have the proper lighting for all that. That's a lot of dribbling, bro. I think this is, unfortunately, and this is, we do a better job on this sports show than most sports shows because when we're in between those hiatus months of playing, people come with all types of scenarios. This is somebody trying some new weed from the dispenser. I can't see that. I can't.
okay.
And then what are you giving up? You got to give up a lot.
Yeah, they got to get together. Some of the things they said that they were going to give up to get him. I was like, Brooklyn would be stupid to do that. But then Brooklyn has made some dumb, they made some dumb trades in the last 10 years. They made some they did what? So it ain't too far fetched. But I'll even say this to you, Vic.
Oh, hold up. Before you go on, you know what we're not thinking about? We're assuming that they're coming back with a great KD. KD's working out. So the powers that be that are gauging this recovery and this return, they may know something we don't know.
Okay. I could, yeah, that's possible. But Fig, I will say this to you. I think if James Harden comes on that team, the way he's a ball hog and the way Kyrie's a ball hog, that team will not last into the end of the season. I'm gonna go on record with saying that. What you think?
I think you hit the nail on the head, Frank, man. Now here's the thing. They got a lot of decent players in Brooklyn. And they got some players that can make some noise on a team that's trying to rebuild. Brooklyn Nets got some ballers over there. They got some young ballers. And them guys play their behind up. They play on both sides of the ball. I like that team.
Yeah.
They do have the players to give up for James Harden, but I'm gonna pull a page out of your book, Frank, and I'm go Pelican brief here. I don't think the Brooklyn Nets are in love with Kyrie Irving.
That ain't no Pelican brief. That's known.
I know, but here's the thing.
That's known.
I'm telling you, I wouldn't be surprised if they were able to acquire a James Harden that they would be willing to release Kyrie Irving. It's not like Kevin.
Oh, you saying trade James Harden for Kyrie?
Or get rid of Kyrie at a later date this year, because I'm saying they don't really care for him all that much. And I'm gonna tell you this. Kyrie Irving, one, is injury prone. I know KD went there because Kyrie was there. They wanted to play together. But guess what? KD is under contract. And if they get rid of Kyrie, KD still can't go nowhere. Mm-hmm. So they always have KD. And James Harden and KD did play together. But at that time, James Harden was the sixth man. I think KD's problem was with Russell.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't think he got along with Russell. I don't think he had any beef with Harden. I think those guys. I think KD doesn't need the ball in order to be able to score. He's not a ball hog. You can hit KD on the wing or somewhere and stuff like that, and he still could drop 30. He doesn't need the ball to be able to be effective.
Yep, that's absolutely true.
So I think those guys could work together. I think a KD and a Harden we'd be able to work together because Harden was able to give the ball up to Russell enough to keep Russell happy. So why not KD?
I will go on record and saying I can agree with most of what you just said. I just don't think it'll work because Kyrie he's just a poison on the team. He hasn't been on one team since he's been in the NBA and has been fruitful, even though they won the NBA championship with Cleveland. You know, it soured really quickly right after that, and they could have went on a run. We all know that they could have went on a run if they were able to keep together that team, but it didn't. It didn't happen.
You know a team that now I don't know what Kyrie would think, but you know a team that could take a Kyrie and take him to another championship and not have any problems after him? The Lakers. LeBron didn't have hardly any trouble at a Kyrie, and they did win. He was there for 3 years. He was in Cleveland for 3 years. He didn't have any problems at a Kyrie. You didn't hear a peep at a Kyrie until he decided that he wanted to leave Cleveland.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. But speaking of the Lakers, let's go there with the Lakers. Dennis Schroeder is on the trade block right now, and Oklahoma has now shopped him to the Clippers, the Lakers, and the Knicks. But Dennis Schroeder has gone on record and said he does not want to go to the Clippers, but he will entertain the thought if he could get to trade because he has a no trade clause. He has to approve the trade. He could entertain that and he could say, yeah, I'll play for the Lakers, but not the Clippers. So, Talon, I'm going to ask you, Dennis Schroeder from the Oklahoma City Thunder, that kid is on the rise. There's one thing I want you to think about before I ask you this question. If you remember, there was some game, and I think it was the Lakers were playing them, and the way LeBron went over and put his arm around him, it was like a big brother to a little brother, and the camera zoomed in on that. I was like, man, LeBron is trying to work that magic off season. He's starting right now. Dennis Schroeder is going to end up on the Lakers. As soon as I saw that, that's what I thought. Now, I'm going to throw that out there. You tell me what you thought because I saw that. I remember it. In the bubble, I remember that.
Well, this guy he's a dope player, man. I loved him on Atlanta. I remember seeing him on Atlanta like, who is this dude? Like, he's a dope guard. But I don't see it. The Knicks, no, only because of what we already got. Like, again, I don't see that. Lakers all day because he's a younger Rondo. He's a badass guard, man. Like, that dude, Atlanta didn't really have they were winning with him at the point, and they didn't even really have no crazy roster. And everybody was scratching their head a couple of years ago, like, well, why's Atlanta beating everybody? I remember a couple of years ago, I was looking at the record, and I'm like, so I always, when I get a question, I go right to my Google, pull up the roster. I'm like, they ain't really got nobody. He's okay, but so I watched a couple of games because I didn't see anybody, and I seen this little Schroeder dude picking teams apart. So Lakers, he's their new Rondo. I can see that.
That's a great example. Vic, what you think?
I think Schroeder is a dope player, man. I think he's originally from Europe. I think he's out of Germany. Schroeder. So he had to play. He's one of those guys who didn't come into the league like a blue collar, like he wasn't grandfathered into the league and stuff like that. High draft pick. He had to work his way up from the bottom. Those players are usually play harder. You know what I mean? Because they seem like they play with a chip on their shoulder and they got something to prove. And that's the way he plays, and he's dope. And I remember that year telling when Atlanta was busting everybody. And I think the coach out of San Antonio was over there. Budenholzer was their coach, and that was the year that Cephalosha, I don't know, one police organization, I think it was in New York, where they broke his leg or something like that, and he couldn't play. But Schroeder is that dude. I can see him on the Lakers. And to tell you the truth, I wouldn't mind if he decided that he wanted to go to the Knicks. The Knicks we haven't had decent point guard play in I can't remember the last point guard that we had that was serviceable, that was really dope. I think the last guy we had that
Marbury.
was okay. Huh?
I think Marbury was.
Marbury, yeah.
Marbury was.
I would love to see Schroeder in a Knicks uniform because the guys that we got, nobody has locked up the point guard position in New York. But if he had a choice between New York and LA, I'm sure he'd pick LA for several reasons.
Yeah, I think he's gonna pick LA. If that if the trade is able to go through, you know, that they're talking about that.
And
Also,
here's another thing. Right? How in the hell did he get a no trade clause? His name is Schroeder. He ain't LeBron James, KD. How he get a no trade clause?
we'll talk about that. Cleveland Cavaliers are also very eager to get Kevin Love in conversations with a couple of other teams. And right now, Kevin Love is being shopped to Dallas, Boston, and Utah. Kevin Love wants to go to Dallas. So I'm going to say this to you,
man.
I'm going to say this to you, Talent. I think it's a perfect fit if Kevin Love goes to Dallas because he's that forward who could pass and he can shoot and he could definitely spread the floor and he could bring it up too if he had to. He doesn't do that, but he could.
And he white. Remember what I told you about Dallas?
Yeah.
They are building a master race team. No, but Dallas, you know what? Dallas might be becoming like the bizarro Spurs organization. The way the Spurs did their thing over the years. Let me find out Dallas is becoming that. Take a page out of the book and say, you know what? Chip, piece, because that's what it's looking like right now. You know what I mean? They're stacking the deck with the unforeseens. You know what I mean? Like people are looking way over here. They're basically pulling a Trump. They put some in the news over here. They do some over here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'll say this: for all we know, he might end up on San Antonio. You know what I mean? Like this is what we hear they talking about, but he could end up in San Antonio. You know what I mean? Because right now Cleveland is they're very, very covert with who they're talking to. Fig, who do you think he'll land at if he even gets traded? Because Cleveland's trying to rebuild. But again, it's Dallas, Boston, and Utah. Do you think Dallas is the best fit or Utah is the best fit?
Or
Boston?
Boston.
Yes, Dallas, Boston, and Utah. Those are three teams.
Oh, wow.
So Dallas, Boston. I think in my order, I think number 1 is Dallas, number 2 is Utah, and number 3 is Boston. Boston doesn't need any. They got enough wings. They got enough forwards, but they don't need another guy in that position unless he moves to center, which he's not going to do. So I don't think it's a great fit for Boston.
Let me just tell you this.
We'll see.
If Kevin Love could get back to the way he played when he was in Minnesota, he was a 20 and 10 dude every single night. Which
won't happen because he had the chance to. He's been able to do that.
Well, I don't think he listen. When it's really hard to put up numbers when you're on a bad team sometimes, man. You know what I mean? He's a little older. You know what I mean? If he could get back to half of himself, you know what I mean, or be able to be himself on at select times when you actually need him to be, then I think he would be great in Dallas. Let me tell you this, what Talent said that makes a lot of sense. Nobody was paying attention to Dallas the year that they won the championship. They put a couple of pieces together with Dirk. They had Dirk, they had Chandler, you know what I mean? A couple of little pieces that nobody was thinking about, little covert pieces. And all of a sudden, when you put all the pieces together with a good coach, it's a team, and it's a championship team. That's kind of scary, man.
And who
I
they
can see
beat?
a Kevin Love in Dallas, man.
And who they beat in that championship?
Yeah, I can see because Kevin, look,
LeBron.
Dallas got some players, man. They got some shooters. You know what I mean? They got Porzingis. They got Doncic. You know what I mean? They got some players. It's like they like a piece or two away from being able to scare the hell out of everybody else in the league. And I don't see Kevin Love being, that far out where he couldn't be a strong contributor, man. Look, if he could pull down 10 to 15 rebounds a game, that would take a lot of pressure off of Porzingis and Doncic because that's not what those guys do. Porzingis he's tall, but he's frail. You know what I mean? You need somebody that can go down low and get some rebounds. And you get rebounds for these dudes, they could definitely knock down shots.
All right, here's my other hypothetical question for you. Especially since you talk about big man, DeMarcus Cousins right now is definitely trying to get back in the league. So, Talent, do you see DeMarcus Cousins getting back in the league? And if so, where do you see him landing at? Because it's going to be for the player minimum. You know that's going to happen. So every team basically will be able to afford him. But who do you think is going to take a shot at him? And which team do you think will be the best fit? Now, I'll start and say this. I would love to see him land in the Celtics because the Celtics need a big man. Now, I'm being, obviously I'm biased in that position, but he can land on a couple of teams. And if he goes back to the Lakers and he becomes half of his form, the Lakers would be phenomenal because they're going to miss a piece or two. Like McGee is probably going to leave. I know Dwight Howard's out, so they're going to need a big man if he comes back, But who do you think? What do you think?
I think he's going to Sixers.
Okay. That'd be a good spot.
I think that what Fig just said, what we just said about Dallas and putting the pieces together, putting something together, I think Doc's doing the same thing over there at the Sixers. So I think a guy who can sign a 1 year league minimum that can be a good piece. He's obviously not the Boogie we know. Actually, we told us we got to stop calling him Boogie. But I think he can do enough. I think that you put him with another backup center or let him back up a center, either way, split the time as the big man. And I think with a team like the Sixers that are putting together this little ensemble piece by piece, because Doc is a mad scientist right now. Mm-hmm. He's in the lab. He got the bolts in the neck. The roof is open, waiting for the electricity to hit the thing, and he's going to build the Frankenstein. I'm telling you. And
I believe that
this guy's situation fits that.
I definitely believe that. What you think, Fig?
When you said the Lakers, it kind of gave me a jolt, and I'm gonna tell you why. He was really good with Anthony Davis in New Orleans, man.
Yeah.
He would fit with LeBron James because LeBron James he's not a ball hog. He's gonna get you in the ball. He's gonna get you the ball in a position where you like it, where you need to score, where you could score.
Right.
Anthony Davis doesn't want to play center, and he doesn't want to bang. And if the Lakers are losing JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard, if Cousins could play, healthy, that would be the perfect place, and they would probably be, they probably are already the favorite to win it again. And you know who I'd like to see? I know you're probably gonna hate this. You know who would probably work pretty decent in Boston, Frank? Dwight.
Yeah, he
Dwight Howard would work really good with those guys, because
I wouldn't hate that at all.
Those guys are as good as they are. I think they'd share the ball with a Dwight Howard enough to keep him happy and to keep him getting rebounds and playing defense.
He got the hairstyle.
Let me scare you. Let me scare you right now. If you're not a Lakers fan, let me scare you right now. Let me just tell you this: if the Lakers get Montrezl Harris and Serge Ibaka, it's a wrap. If the Lakers get Montrezl Harris and Boogie, it's basically going to be a wrap. So it's going to be scary. And let's not forget that Miami's out there too. Miami might take a flight at Boogie. You know what I mean? If Miami is able to pair him up with Bam, Miami's going to be scary. So Boogie is he's one of those guys who can come in and he can help basically move a lot of pieces around and help a lot of teams who need that extra big man. And that's basically half the league. You know what I mean? Half the league needs an additional big man to come off the bench and everything what just Fig just said. But let me just throw this out there too, because before you get down to the top dogs, and we got to keep this real short because I want to get the top dogs in. Rockets and the Clippers are discussing right now a trade for Paul George and Russell Westbrook. We've talked about this several times, but now I've seen it on the boards so many times. I think that and especially with Russell Westbrook came out yesterday, said he wants to move. I think the Rockets and the Clippers are having serious conversations about actually making this a thing happen in the next week and a half. So I'm going to throw this out there to you, Talent. We've discussed it already, but since now it's getting ready to be a reality, it could be a reality. How are you feeling about Paul George and the Houston Rockets uniform?
Frank, I'm not changing what I said. I don't think Harden's going anywhere. I think they're testing the waters to see who's willing to do whatever, because eventually they're going to get Westbrook out of there. But Harden, you really in your heart of hearts think Houston is ready to move on from James Harden?
Not me. I don't think so.
I
think they should keep him. I think they should keep him. I think they should keep James Harden.
And hypothetically, if they do trade him, let's just say we're wrong and they trade him, how does that help the Clippers?
Yeah, good point.
here's the thing. It's not that Paul George is bad or nothing. I mean, it's Paul George had moments where he disappeared. He underperformed. He's still Paul George, but then he came from that and showed us that he could be him. But the problem is not a Paul George. The problem is not a Kawhi per se. The problem is the team didn't do team stuff. They tried to manipulate the way the game is played and the way the season is laid out. They try to if they take a page out of LeBron's book, I hate giving this man praise. I'm not a LeBron fan, but other than a homework check, you know what he's good at? He's good at time management without calling it time management.
The team would be able to coalesce, word for the day, coalesce with Paul George on Houston. I think they would be able to, but I don't like the trade at all. But Fig, since we're getting tight for time, could you get ready to do the top dogs? Because it's that time.
Man, I ain't answer that question. We do the top dogs, but you got me going to my damn dictionary trying to figure out what the hell is coalesce.
Well, you know when people say more or less?
Yes.
That's not the same thing.
It's not the same thing? No. Yo, man, listen. The Rockets need a big man. They definitely need a big man. And the one thing that they did that the Clippers didn't have last year is they didn't have a guy who was gonna go get it, and he didn't give a damn who was in his way. There's no way the Clippers don't score in the fourth quarter or 6 or 7 points in the fourth quarter with a dude like Russell Westbrook. He's going to the paint, you gonna foul him or he's gonna score.
Okay, now can we do the top dogs?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for the top dogs? Let me hear you ball. Oh, man, I got a great top dogs for you, ladies and gentlemen. I got to pick number one, and these are in no particular order. Number one I got for my top dog is my man Gervonta the Tank Davis, ladies and gentlemen, boxer who knocked out oh my God, it was a vicious knockout to win the super featherweight lightweight championship over my man Santa Cruz. Knocked him out with an uppercut in the 6th round. He's that dog. He got a record of 24-0 with 23 knockouts. This is who I'm calling Baby Tyson, because he's knocking them out. You line him up and he's knocking them down. Number 2 on the list, I got to give it to my man, another old player in the NFL. I got to give it to my man Drew Brees of New Orleans, beating down Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Bucks in an old school, what I like to call a shellacking. Now, for you young people out there that don't know what a shellac is, that's what you do when you put on your hardwood floors when you want them to shine like the bowling alley. That's called a shellacking. And that's what Drew Brees and the Saints did to Tom Brady and the Bucks on Sunday. Drew Brees throwing up 222 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Number 3, the rookie, Tua Tagovailoa of the Miami Dolphins over the Lilliputian, my man Kyler Murray of the St. Louis Cardinals in a shootout, 34-31, 248 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, given to my man Tua Tagovailoa in just 2 games in the NFL, shining like a brand new ring. Ladies and gentlemen, also number 4, I got to give it to my man Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills in a shocker over the Seattle Seahawks, ladies and gentlemen, in a 44-34 upset over my man over there in Seattle. He threw for 415 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Again, to give to my man, the quarterback, Josh Allen. Last but not least, I'm giving to the old favorite. It seems like everybody in the NFL forgot about this dude, Patrick Mahomes. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, over the Kansas City Chiefs, over Teddy Bridgewater in the Carolina Panthers. He threw for 372 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions in another shootout, 33-31 over Teddy Bridgewater and the Carolina Panthers. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. You may be talking about these other quarterbacks, but don't you dare forget about Patrick Mahomes and over there at the Cardinals on the Chiefs, I should say, ladies and gentlemen. Those are my 5 top dogs for the week. I don't know whether you agree. If you got your own top dogs, let us know. But that's mine.
Team light skin. Team light skin.
Team light skin. That's right.
Okay. All right. Now I wanted to get this in. I don't know if I'll be able to get in all the stuff I wanted to get in, but I want to get this in before we get the show out. Who do you see moving, and who do you see not moving? Actually, who do you see moving? Which star player do you see is most likely to be moved this offseason in the next 14 days? Now, who do you and why? Who do you see moving?
What sport?
NFL. I mean, NBA. I'm sorry. NBA.
In the NBA, who do I see moving? I see Westbrook moving. Definitely at the top of my list is Westbrook. I see Dwight Howard moving, and I see Rondo.
Okay. All right. And you're going to say Westbrook, obviously, because he's demanded a trade to get out of there. Rondo, I think, is going to be moving because he's a free agent, so Rondo can move. And, yeah, so. But I guess maybe I should have shaped the question up. But who do you see moving in a trade, not a free agent signing? Like, who do you see being traded? You know, and I see Russell Westbrook definitely getting traded, but I don't think that's going to be the thing now since he came out and demanded it to be a shocker. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see that being shocking. So, Town, do you see that's going to be a shocking answer?
Yeah, I still think this is going to be a shocker because I think that really people don't see it happening. I don't think people really believe it's going to happen. That's first of all. You know, if they had to pick a more shocking trade in the NBA, it would be Chris Paul.
Okay.
And I think the shock value is going to come to, Chris Paul. I think he's going to end up at a team that we probably not talking about.
Yeah. Okay. I could definitely see that. Fig, what do you think?
I know we talked about it. They don't think it's going to happen, but I think the way Houston is moving their pieces around, I think they might just be ready to get off of James Harden, man. Mm. I think they might enter trade with Philly. I think they might get off of James Harden contract. He's a little older. If they're gonna rebuild, get off of Philly for that's either Ben Simmons. I think Harden for Ben Simmons is who Philly would do because there's no way that James Harden could play with a Ben Simmons. So I don't think they can move Joel Embiid. So I think the smart move with Doc over there, he's not going to get rid of his big man and bring in a guard. So I think James Harden for Ben Simmons, man. And that would shock me. That would shock me.
All right. Well, with that being said, we got to get ready to wrap up the show. Talent, tell everybody how they can follow you and where we can follow you at and do what we normally do because it's Friday. We got to get up out of here.
Hey, man, come on my live platforms. It's the weekend. Like you said, it's Friday, so I'll be jamming and doing things all weekend long. I'm on Twitter at It's Just Comedy. I'm on the gram, Instagram, Talent the Comedian, and I'm on Facebook, NY King Talent Harris.
There you go, Fig. Tell everybody out there to follow you.
You can follow your boy Comedian Fig on social media platforms, ladies and gentlemen, at Comedian Fig. I'm going to be on Instagram. I'm going to be on Twitter. I'm going to be on Facebook. But mainly, I'm going to be on my couch watching the games this weekend. You might catch me over there at that boy page on some of his stuff, seeing what it is that he doing, because he be doing some stuff. And, yeah, the rest I can't tell you about because I'm a married man.
Anyway, Rodney Perry will be back next week. Stack will be back next week. Stack with, of course, Checking the Facts with Stack. Rodney Perry with, of course, the segment we call I Disagree. This is the show called Box Seats. I'm Frank Holder on every Monday through Friday from 1 to 2 p.m. Next week, we got some great guests. Looking forward to telling y'all over the weekend and Monday morning some of the guests who we're going to have and tell y'all all about. Make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend. Download the app and call your cable service provider to get us to add us. Until then, you all have a good weekend, and we'll see y'all Monday. Take care.